On the way to wealth. Step 2. Faith. Faith empowers every thought. Self-confidence and the driving force of thought will give you the opportunity to rise to incredible heights. Faith. The main factor of the mind. Faith combined with thought stimulates the subconscious mind to transform it into a spiritual equivalent and then into an infinite mind. Emotions related to faith, love, and sex are the most powerful among all other positive emotions. When these three emotions combine, they so color the thought that it immediately penetrates into the subconscious, where it takes the form of a spiritual equivalent, the only form that causes a response from the higher mind. Faith is waiting for the moment when you find it. Now we will talk about what will help you better understand the great importance of autosuggestion for the transformation of desire into its physical or monetary equivalent. Faith. It is a state of mind that is achieved through statements and repetitive instructions that affect the subconscious mind through autosuggestion. As an illustration, let's look at the goal that you are pursuing while reading this book. The goal, obviously, is to master the ability to transform an intangible thought into its physical or monetary form. If you follow the instructions in this chapter, which teach step-by-step autosuggestion and effects on the subconscious, you will achieve what you want. Faith is a state of mind that can be developed if desired. To do this, be sure to read the last, 13th, principle, because this state of mind develops voluntarily through the acceptance and use of all these principles. Repetition of attitudes for the subconscious is the only currently known method of instilling faith. Perhaps the situation will become clearer if we try to explain why some people become criminals. Here is the opinion of a well-known criminologist. When a person commits a crime for the first time, he is disgusted by what he has done. If he continues to break the law, then addiction sets in and the crime is committed repeatedly. If a person is in contact with the criminal world for a long time, he is drawn into this world and he succumbs to its influence. So, the thought impulse that constantly affects the subconscious mind is eventually perceived, and the subconscious mind acts according to this thought impulse, transforming it into a physical equivalent, using the most acceptable practical way. In this regard, let's consider the statement, all emotionally colored thoughts, together with faith, immediately begin to transform into a physical form or something similar to it. Emotions, or the sensual side of thought, are a factor that fills thought with dynamics and action. The emotions experienced by a person in connection with faith, love, and sex, combined with the impulsive thought, lead to significantly greater results than each of these components individually. The impulsive thought affects the subconscious mind in combination not only with faith, but with any positive or negative emotion. There are no failures after reading this section. You will understand that the subconscious mind transforms the thought impulse of both positive and constructive, as well as negative, destructive nature. This explains in some way the strange phenomenon that people call bad luck or bad luck. Millions of people consider themselves doomed to poverty and defeat, explaining this by the influence of some force that, in their opinion, they are unable to control. Their subconscious is influenced by these negative impulses and thus implements them into a physical equivalent. In other words, these people create their own misfortunes. Now is the time to remind you that you can benefit enormously if your subconscious mind, under the influence of thought impulses, transforms them into an appropriate equivalent. Your belief, your faith, is an element that determines the activity of the subconscious mind. There is nothing wrong with deceiving your subconscious mind through autosuggestion, just as I deceived my son's subconscious mind. In order to make such a deception more real, imagine yourself as the owner of what you want to acquire with the help of your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind transforms thoughts into their physical equivalent through the most direct, practically accessible means, and the order of this process, which is determined by the substantive side of faith or belief, is strictly observed. The reader has received enough necessary information to start experimenting. And mastery, perfection, as you know, comes with practice. Mastery cannot come from reading instructions alone. It is very important to stimulate positive emotions as the dominant forces of the mind, avoiding negative ones. The mind, which is dominated by positive emotions, is the most favorable soil for the growth of that state of mind, which is known as faith. At your request, such a mind can send instructions to the subconscious mind, which will act immediately. Faith empowers thought. In the distant past, religious figures called on humanity to turn to faith in one form or another, but they were defeated in their attempt to explain to people how to find it. They did not define faith as a state of mind that can be achieved by self-suggestion. In turn, we will try to describe everything that is known about the principle of faith development. Believe in yourself, in the unlimited possibilities of the mind. Faith is an inner elixir that gives life and strength to impulses of thought. Faith is the starting point on the path to wealth. Faith is the basis of all miracles and everything that cannot be explained by the laws of science. Faith is the only cure for failure. Faith is an element, a chemical, which, in combination with prayer, makes possible a connection with a higher mind. Faith is a factor that transforms thought into its highest spiritual equivalent. Faith is the only phenomenon that allows a person to join the power of the higher mind and use it. Dominant thoughts. The above is easy to prove. The proof lies in the principle of autosuggestion. Let's focus our attention on the phenomenon of autosuggestion and try to find out what can be achieved with its help. It is well known that a person eventually begins to believe in the beliefs that he inspires himself, and it does not matter whether they are true or false. If a person repeatedly encounters a lie, he begins to accept it as the truth and will believe that it is true. Everyone is who they are because they allow certain thoughts to dominate their minds. These dominant thoughts, which a person intentionally fills his brain with, find a warm response in it and, mixing with certain emotions, generate driving forces that direct and control all his actions and deeds. Thoughts mixed with any of the emotions experienced generate a magnetic force that attracts other similar or related thoughts. A thought magnetized by emotions can be compared to a seed that has been dropped into fertile soil, fertilized and grown. Thus, from one small seed, a mature plant appeared, containing countless of the same seeds. The human mind constantly attracts ideas, thoughts that are in harmony with the dominant ideas and thoughts in it. Any of the thoughts, ideas, plans, or intentions that originate and take root in a person's mind generate hosts of related thoughts, ideas, plans, and intentions until they completely take over the mind. Now let's go back to the starting point and think about how the original seed of an idea, plan, or goal can be embedded in the mind. Any idea or goal can be planted in the mind, constantly returning to the thought about her. That's why you should write down your main goal or specific intermediate goals and read this entry aloud day after day, pronouncing the words clearly. And this should be done until the spoken sounds in the form of waves reach your subconscious. Say no to anything that might suggest thoughts of failure. When making this decision, you will see that the biggest weakness is a lack of self-confidence. This disadvantage is overcome by autosuggestion. You will undoubtedly overcome shyness and gain determination and courage. The essence of autosuggestion is to form positive impulses by recording them in writing, memorizing and constantly repeating them until they become a working tool of your subconscious mind. The 5 principles of self-confidence. 1. I know that I am capable of achieving a certain goal in life. I demand perseverance from myself, constant work in this direction, and I promise myself to act only this way and not otherwise. 2. I realize that the thoughts that dominate my mind will necessarily lead to physical actions that will gradually materialize. Therefore, for 30 minutes every day I will concentrate on the thought of who I intend to become. So I will create a clear picture in my mind. 3. I know that there will eventually be practical means to fulfill any wish that I persistently think about. That's why I will devote 10 minutes a day to building self-confidence and self-reliance. 4. I have described my main life goal clearly. I will never give up trying to cultivate enough confidence to achieve this goal. 5. I am fully aware that both well-being and position in society are valid and reliable only if they are achieved in accordance with the law and justice. Therefore, on the way to my dream, I will not resort to questionable transactions under any circumstances. I will achieve success relying only on my own strength and in mutually beneficial cooperation with other people. I will seek the help of strangers, demonstrating my willingness to help them.